Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hanging On to Hope podcast.
I'm Brenda J.
And I'm Karen Wonder.
And we are
HangingOnToHope.org. This podcast is intended as educational and is not psychological or medical advice. Always consult a professional when needed, and we disclaim any liability in connection with the instruction, information, or advice given.
Yeah, and Karen's in Yuma right now with her dad, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can just say it's just been, I'm kind of distracted because there's just a lot going on today, and he's basically in his final days, and I'm glad to be here, but if I sound distracted, it's because I was. So,
just keep Karen and her family in your prayers.
yeah, I would appreciate that greatly.
All right. Well, I will definitely be praying for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
My
it.
heart's heavy, yeah. Okay, well, I love you, and I will be praying for you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hanging On to Hope podcast. This is Brenda J. Today, we have Christie Schwan on the show. Christie is the author of Chaos in My Head, Surviving Divorce and Moving Forward, a collection of personal poems. Christie is an abuse survivor and is here today to share her story and how she used poetry to heal. So welcome to the show, Christie.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Karen. Do you mind sharing your abuse story with our listeners?
Sure. I suffered physical, mental, and emotional abuse from my ex-husband. He's an alcoholic with an explosive temper, and I've been telling him for years that he needs help, but he would never admit that he has a problem. I know he suffered trauma when he was a kid and never dealt with it, so he took it out on me. I was his crutch. I was constantly walking on pins and needles whenever I was around him. And he's also a narcissist. Passive aggressive behavior towards me. He couldn't do no wrong in his eyes. A very big ego. We did have good times together. It wasn't all bad, but the bad outweighed the good.
So what was the turning point in the relationship and how did you get out?
So there was an incident where my ex-husband became violent with me. And if I didn't leave right then, I knew it was going to get much worse. So I packed a bag and I left. My family became involved, and that's when I knew there was no going back. I hid his alcoholism, abuse, violence from my family and friends, and it was progressively getting worse. A good friend of mine offered to let me stay at their house until I could figure out what my next move was. My sister and her husband own several homes where I live, and they offered to let me stay in one of them, and they got me moved in quickly. So I'm very fortunate and grateful to them for doing that for me.
And how did this lead to writing poetry and eventually the book?
So my sister suggested that I start journaling and writing down my feelings and what I was going through. So I started to do that, and somehow it turned into poetry. I have no experience with writing. I've never taken any classes or courses or workshops on writing poetry. I showed my poems to family and friends, and they all suggested that I need to do something with them. So I looked into how to get a book published. I found a publisher and hired them to publish my poetry. I was cranking out poems rapidly. The time frame from when I started to write to when my book was published and online for sale was 7 months. So it happened very quickly.
So you say in your book, these poems come from your own personal experiences and raw, painful emotions. I was wondering if you'd wanted to share one of your poems called Monster in You, and then I was going to go ahead and share one after that.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. So this is called Monster in You. Sweet and charming you started out to be. You won me over, you understood me. The drinks kept flowing, no end in sight. The monster came out, then came the fights. The endless list of what's wrong with me. Can't you just let me be me? The shattered items fist through the walls. Is it time to call and involve the law? The shame and humiliation that everyone will know. No more perfect image, the unhappiness will show. It's not fun or funny how intoxicated you can be. No end in sight, no peace for me. No one knows what happens behind closed doors. The screaming and yelling, it's a raging war. You don't see it, it's normal to you. I don't engage to avoid the rage that's in you. You need help. Something's not right with you. Been going on far too long. Help is overdue. Piece by piece, you're losing me. Dreams of starting over and how it would be. It's all going to catch up with you later in life. Rock bottom should be when you lost your wife. My safety and happiness is what matters to me. Better days ahead, sunny and free. I'm starting over. It's peaceful and new. No more having to deal with the monster in you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners would be able to relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm relating to it right now. And I just like how at the end you talk about safety and happiness, what is important, and that it is a fresh start. It is a fresh start for you, and I love that.
Thank you.
So, okay, so I'm going to share one of your poems, and one of the biggest things that I struggle with today, to this day, is still self-love, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners still struggle with that as well. So I just want to give the audience another sample of how you put your emotions into your poetry as part of your healing journey. So here's self-love. On my own and getting to know myself, figuring out which road to take, it will reveal itself. It is all new to me, but I like how it feels. Scary at times, so I lean on my girls. Pursuing my interests and setting goals. I treat myself with kindness. It's good for the soul. I can love myself better than anyone else can. Self-love bursts open like a rushing dam. I take on the world by myself. Don't need a man to do it for me. Feeling empowered, feeling strong, and feeling free. I don't need you. I'm stronger on my own. Women support each other, not tear each other down. Accepting myself fully with flaws and all. I forgive myself for all my downfalls. Warm and fuzzy, snug as a glove. That's how it should be to feel self-love. So what were you thinking when anything you were going through when you wrote that one? I really, really like that one.
Just trying to put aside the bad feelings that I was feeling and trying to feel empowered, and how it's just harder for us women. And women are very hard on ourselves, and it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
I mean, we're all human. We all have issues. We all have problems.
Yeah.
Just don't try to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, it is. I have to show myself more kindness. I'm still hard on myself to this day, and I've been out for 5 years.
Yeah, I think every woman is hard on themselves, but I definitely think coming out of an abusive or destructive relationship makes you more hard on yourself. So did you want to share the poem My Sister to show your gratitude to her and give the audience a sample of how gratitude is very healing as well? We probably don't talk about how important gratitude is on our podcast.
Sure. Yeah. So my sister was a huge part of my healing and getting me through my darkest days. So I wrote this poem for her. My sister. What can I say about my sister, Sandy? She's amazing, the rock in our family. Generous to a fault, nurturing and giving, always to lend an ear, give advice and listening. Smart as can be and wise beyond her years, she sees the big picture to calm my fears. Always the first to help me out, I can always count on her, no doubt. She sets an example of how life should be. If you work hard, then the payoff is to be financially free. Always protective of her little sister. I'm proud to call Sandy my big sister.
That's really beautiful. I'm here with my sister, my older sister, and I can just relate to that. Like there's just something so bonding about sisters.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister and I are really, really close too, so I can completely relate to that. And that's just amazing that you were able to write her that poem. Now, I did see in your book that you mentioned divorce care. I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast either. So did you want to tell our listeners more about divorce care and how they can get help? And is it something that's free?
Yeah. So my sister found this online and she suggested that I go. So I did. And I'm so glad that I did. Divorce Care is a divorce recovery program that covers everything from anger and loss, children of divorce, financial aspects of divorce, starting a new relationship, healing and starting over. Everyone who attends these meetings is going through what you are, and it's a safe place to talk about your situation. There is no judgment. If you don't feel like sharing, that's okay. You don't have to. We talk about how your week went, then we cover chapters in a book, then we watch a video. You can attend either in person or online. You don't have to attend if you don't want to either. These programs usually take place in a church, but you don't have to be religious or affiliated to that church if you don't want to. You don't have to be religious to attend. These meetings take place weekly for 13 weeks, 3 times a year. It's free and you can find it worldwide. I've made great friends by going to divorce care, and I always feel so much better after attending a meeting. I highly suggest finding one and going.
So I know poetry is a big part of your healing. Is there anything else that you did to heal, like counseling or other things?
Yes. So I thought about what I needed to do right now to help me heal and move forward. And for me, my goals for that was I needed to save money, make new friends, and have fun. Now that I'm divorced, I needed to find something that fills my time and that is fulfilling to me. So I found the perfect gig job that supports all that for me. I work concerts, special events, and NFL games. I'm very much a people person, so this is perfect for me. I've had some amazing experiences working these gig jobs. It's fun, and I've made new friends, and I make extra money. So I achieved my goals. Another thing that I did was I started going to a drum circle. It's relaxing, relieves stress, you connect with others, and it releases negative energy. I also volunteer at a therapeutic horse farm. I've always loved horses, so this gives me the chance to spend time with them and to also help out for a good cause as well. That's where I met Brenda's friend, Nicole, who's been on this podcast. She is the one that got us together to share my story with you all today. So thank you, Nicole. So by putting myself out there and actively finding ways to heal and move forward, I've had so many opportunities and a lot of doors open for me and have connected and made good, true friends.
That's great that you work with horses. That's something I would like to do at some point. I mean, just on a volunteer basis, because I've had an experience where I did an EMDR session. I mean, I didn't actually go in with a horse, but my girlfriend did, and just observing, those that went in with a horse and how the horses responded to them. It was just such a beautiful thing to see.
I guess I forgot to add this question, and we usually ask if there's any gold nugget that you want to share with our listeners. I don't know to help them heal, any advice or a gold nugget you'd give. Do you have anything that comes to the top of your mind? If you don't, it doesn't matter, but.
Well, for me, it was just staying busy. Just stay busy and share your story to other people, because somebody may look like they're okay on the outside, but they could be going through what you are too. Connecting with other people was key for me, trying to find my people. And I did that. I did that by going through divorce care. I also did one-on-one counseling and just finding new and fun things to do with other people, keeping myself busy and occupied. So that's my gold nugget.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and just being brave enough to share your story. We know it's healing for all of us to share our stories, but we love how you use poetry to heal. Everyone has their own healing journey. Some paint, some use art, some martial arts, some meditate, exercise, hike, nature, beaches, etc. We could go on and on all day. Whatever works for you. We love that you were able to share with our audience, and maybe poetry is something that they would be interested in doing as well to heal.
So are you on social media, and where can someone buy your book if they wanted to buy your book?
You can find my book online at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. I'm still figuring out my marketing and how to market my book. What's coming in the near future is my second book. I'm almost done writing it, and I project to have it completed, published, and for sale by the end of this year. I also want to have my books in an audio format as well. I'm also planning on creating a website as a platform for others to share their own personal experiences related to my poetry and to use as a support group. I'm in the process of creating an Instagram account for my book through digital marketing. So that should be up and running in about a month or so. And I just want to say my book isn't just about abuse and divorce. It's about what everyone goes through at some point in their life. Depression, feeling lost in life, friendships, new beginnings. Everyone can relate to what I write about. I hope you all check it out.
That's awesome. So your next book's also a poetry book, or is it?
It is.
Okay.
It will be a follow-up to Surviving Divorce. It'll be, I'm continuing on healing, and I'm writing poetry about that.
That's great. That's a great way that you have an outlet to heal and encourage you to heal.
Yeah, it's so inspiring. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you were really well prepared. That was awesome.
I've been preparing for a while.
and I'll let you know when the podcast comes out. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Hanging On to Hope. Check out our website, hangingontohope.org. There are resources on there, and if you would like to donate or volunteer, you can do that through our website. We are a brand new nonprofit, so we appreciate any and all support. And we thank you for listening, and until next time, keep hanging on to hope. We are evidence that there is hope and healing for you, and our passion is to help you find it too. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.